Hello there. Today, I want to show you my complete process for producing a children's audiobook. My name is Brad Grahowski from kidsbooknarration.com. I'm a kids audiobook narrator, a voice actor, and an audiobook narrator. And I just wanted to share my process with you so you can get some idea of how I go about it. Today, we're going to be working, with permission, on a children's book called Kai and Paul's Pizza, and written by the wonderful children's author Flo Fennick, children's author and much more. In the background, we've got a couple false starts, so I figured I'd introduce things over the top of that. We're going to be breaking things down and going through the whole process from beginning to end. The audio editor I'm using is called Reaper. It's what I use in my daily work as a professional voice actor. And you'll see the story on the right is in Canva. Sometimes we'll get our books in Canva, sometimes they're in a PDF format, sometimes they're in a doc file. There's just all kinds of ways, whatever works best for the author, to share the story with us so that we can narrate it. All right, let's get started here. And we're going to start out with the opening credits. At minimum, there are 4 files you have to have for Audible. You have to have the opening credits, at least one chapter, the closing credits, and the retail sample. And you'll see here, we had the title, the author, the illustrator in this case, and then the narrator. Kai and Paul's Pizza. Written by Flo Fennick. Illustrated by Titan Fahmy. Narrated by Brad Grahowski. Right, and so then we're off into the narration. I apologize that the narration sound is a little echoey. Obviously, the production sound isn't like that, but it was in recording the video, it's sort of double recorded. The microphone, I'm not sure why. We'll have to figure that out for future videos. She sits at her desk, trying her best to be patient and wait like the rest. So you'll see what I'm doing here. It's called punch and roll. When I make a mistake, I set the marker at just before the mistake, and when I hit record, it'll play a few seconds leading into where I'm picking up to continue forward. And you'll see me do that a few times here. The bell rings, and the children all sing, "Pizza, pizza, pizza." Pizza. Paul makes the best pizza of all. His shop is He does. Paul makes great pizza. Kai says with a grin, "Just walk right in." Now, a note for the future, for later in this video, I'm going to be adding sound effects. And of course, I've read this already several times, but as I'm narrating, I'm thinking about where I'm adding sound effects. I say that now because we just passed a point where I was going to... Hi, Paul. Yes. I often talk to the characters in between takes. I sped this up because I'm not going to make you sit through the entire narration in real time. And here you see me working to get the character voice so that I'm happy with it. It's a little girl, but I'm a grown man. I'm not going to sound like a little girl. The idea is to sound like I, as a grown man, am reading the story to a group of children, and it's the voice I would use for the little girl. See you next week. Thank you, Paul. Kai loves the warm, melted cheese and the tangy barbecue sauce. This vegan cheese is so gooey. I love pizza. I love pizza. I think I'll eat at the park today. I can eat, play, then go back to school. Kai's mom agrees. Yeah. Then go back to school. Kai's mom agrees. Yep, you saw another pickup there with punch and roll. Now you see I'm doing one page at a time. That allows me to really treat each page as a performance. That's a luxury you don't get when you're narrating an adult audiobook, but with a children's book, you can really take your time and make sure each and every word is performed in a way that you're happy with it. Each line is just right. Each page is just right. You really have the luxury of the time to be a perfectionist. Now we're talking about being at school. So in my mind as I'm narrating, right, I'm thinking about ambient sound that I can use there, and we'll get to that. You'll see what I mean. Sauce. That's how it should be, with tomatoes, peppers, and mushrooms piled up high. I'll take a big bite. Yep, there you see another pickup. I'll take a big bite and reach for the sky. It's time to go back to school. Kai waves goodbye to her mom and grandmother. Already thinking about next Tuesday's pizza day. We love you. See you after school. What if I had a pizza party for my birthday? Now, I slowed it down here because see you after school. It's a performance decision that I make here. Pizza party for my birthday, Kai imagines. Could Paul make 15 pizzas? So that was the line, forgetting that that's kind of the last line of the book, of the story before, before birthday, Kai imagines. Could Paul make 15 pizzas? So I wanted to read for that line that just sort of lands, right? It sort of has a really good landing. Now we go into a slightly different section, so I wanted the read to feel different. Basically, this is how to make a pizza. It's a very abbreviated recipe for making a pizza. I always loved these parts of books when I was a kid. So I really try to approach these with care. It's much more of it's almost an e-learning tone, right? But still fun and geared to children. Spread on the pizza sauce and sprinkle the cheese. Yeah, because that's fun, right? So yeah, I really liked this piece and I wanted it to set it apart a little bit, so I used a different narration style. I'll choose a different piece of music for that. And then we go back into this little coda, and then that's the end of the story. And here you hear me doing the closing credits that we talked about. Again, the author, illustrator, narrator, copyright information. That's sort of the minimum that you need there. All right, and we'll go dark here for a second as I'm literally moving, physically moving to my editing desk. And so now we're sitting down editing, and the first thing we're going to do is start to look for some sound effects. And I don't know if you heard, but at the beginning we talked about a school bell going off, and so I wanted to find just the right school bell sound. And here you'll see me. The bell rings. You see, I made a little room for it, and then I found the perfect bell in Epidemic Sound. I was very happy with the sound. And the children all sing, "Pizza, pizza, pizza." Paul makes the best pizza of all. His shop is right across from adding the sound effects and the music and the ambient sounds can be really time consuming. Like, for example, here she talks about, the character talks about going into Paul's shop. And so I really wanted the sound of the bell, the kind of bell where you open the door and it hits the bell that's hanging above the door. And which the first one was perfect, but you'll see me listening to a bunch of different bells, just looking for just the right one. And then I go back to the first one and I'm like, yeah, that's it. And so you'll see me again, I'll drag it and drop it in, and you'll see me leave room for it. Usually with sound effects, you don't want it over or under the narration. You want it sort of in its own space, but overlapping just a little bit. He is friendly and happy to so it feels like it's in the same world, right? Like the narrator stops to look at the bell almost, and like you just give it the space that it needs. Your iced tea? And here I'm looking for the perfect, you see what I searched for there, pouring into a glass. I'm looking for just the perfect sound of iced tea. Now I really want iced tea. It's dangerous listening to this, to doing this sound effects work, because it makes you thirsty or hungry or, and again, you'll see me making a nice space for it here. Just a nice gap. I'm not going to show you all of the sound effects that I added, but I just really wanted to show you just a few so you could get a good idea of how we do it and how it looks. Paul hands Kai her pizza and I like that. Okay. Have a great lunch. See you next week. For some reason, I thought they belonged in that lower track. I don't know. I moved them back. Play, then go back to school. Kai's mom agrees. So now we're talking about being at the park, and I wanted to create a little bit of a sound of being at the park. So here I'm looking for a park ambient sound, or playground rather.
As she plays before heading back
I like to think of 3 different layers of sounds. There's sound effects like the bells and the pouring tea. There's the ambient layer like I'm finding now. And an ambient layer is going to lay underneath. It's going to happen while the narration is happening, as opposed to the sound effect. And then the third layer is the background music that will give it a spiritual or an emotional setting, but not a setting in place or time like the playground does. Yeah, I spent a lot of time. I just showed you a part of the search for playground sounds here.
slides down the playground slide.
So here I'm moving that to an ambient layer. Now I usually give each of those 3 levels, different types of sound, their own layer, their own track. And here I'm adding a slide whistle sound as she's going down a slide. And you'll see this sound effect, right? I'm going to leave a gap for the sound effect, even though the ambient sound is playing while the narration is happening.
Down slide.
And you'll see me stretch out the sound. You can do that in Reaper.
Whee!
Yeah.
Laughing as she plays before heading back to school. I love cheese pizza. No meat for me. Animals are my friends.
Yeah. And then you'll see me trimming back. I was trimming back the ambient playground sound there. So now we start the search for the background music. And if you're clever, you can see I've already got the background music under the recipe part. So I kind of cheated. I'm going to show you that in order. I always find the music last when I'm doing sound effects, because once you find the perfect sound and you get it laid down there, but then you're doing all that cutting and moving things around, it can mess up the sound effect track. So.
Paul makes the best pizza.
And you'll see me going through a fraction of what I listen to, of what and you see it. I can tell very quickly if it's the right sound or not. And I don't know what makes the sound the right sound. It's just an intuitive thing. You know it when you hear it. And a lot of times you hear it and you know it. And then the author is like, no, that's not what I wanted. So you come back in and you do some more searching. Like, that's silly. When I'm doing a kid's book, it's tricky because it has to be appropriate for kids. It has to be attention-y and a little cartoony. But in this case, I didn't want it to be over the top or silly like that.
The bell rings.
I've spent so much time on some books just looking for the right sound, going back and forth with the author, trying to find something that they were also happy with.
Kai says with a grin, just walk right
I think Flo and I've worked together on a handful of books now, and I can't say I know what she wants, but I have an idea of what she'll be happy with.
A personal pan with cheese and barbecue sauce on the side.
I'm telling you, this is just a fraction. You're probably like, why are we still listening to this? But this is the process, man. And I just wanted to share.
She sits at her desk.
I don't remember the name of the one. I think we're getting close to it.
Wait like the rest. Sing pizza.
There it is. Yep. Having fun. That's a good title. So now you'll see, now that I found it and I like it, watch. So this is amazing. This rarely happens. I drop it into place and it is exactly the right length. I knew what length. I knew I needed around 2.5 minutes, and so I was looking at tracks about that. But this piece just fit so perfectly into the space. It was really nice. There are a couple really nice moments in it too, that magically lined up with the narration. And I'll show you those in a few. I'll try not to talk over them. So here you see me lining it up. For this one, I decided to do a music lead in and then the narration. A lot of times we'll start the narration and then the music picks up as we get into the story. Look at how that just lined up perfectly. And you'll see I did cheat. I have the next piece already in place there.
And the children all sing, pizza, pizza, pizza.
I just felt like this has a really appropriate motion and spirit.
Knows Kai's
Listen.
special order. a personal pan with cheese and barbecue sauce.
That
on
moment
the
where
side.
the music just sort of
Have a great
holds
lunch.
at
See
a
you next
very,
week.
important
Thank
moment
you,
in the
Paul.
narration. Paul knew
Guy
exactly what
loves
kind of
the
pizza she
warm,
wanted. And it's like,
melted cheese
duh, with the
and
music.
tangy barbecue
And it does it
sauce.
again here.
This vegan cheese is so gooey.
And then
I
right back
love
into the
pizza,
sound.
so
Yeah.
after school,
Sometimes you
what if
just
I
get
had
these
a
magic
pizza
moments.
Party for my birthday, Kai
And it did it,
imagines.
yeah, at the end there.
Paul make 15
Just so nice. It just works so
pizzas.
well. I just hope Flo likes it. And you see I added another sound effect in there that I didn't show you.
Hip hip hooray! Kai sings
And now
with
you
her
see me, I'm
friends.
going back
Let's
to
have
look for
pizza every
the
day.
perfect piece for the recipe, the pizza recipe. And I wanted to show you this because I use a little cheat
Pizza.
trick here. I liked this track for it. You'll hear in a minute.
Birthday, Kai and bean pizzas. How to make pizza.
I love the kind of razzmatazz. I just felt that counterbalanced the,
Roll out the dough.
I don't know, it just
spread on
brought
the
some
pizza sauce and
showmanship, I
sprinkle
think,
the cheese.
to
Step
the,
2. Bake it. Ask
to the
an adult
recipe,
to set
right?
the oven to
Which is a very
375
procedural
degrees
thing.
Fahrenheit. In 10 to 15
And at first I
minutes,
tried
it's
to do
golden and
just a
bubbly.
fade out,
It's ready.
but I didn't like it.
Step 3.
Uh,
Enjoy it. Take it out and
sometimes
enjoy
that works.
every bite. Hip, hip,
But I
hooray!
didn't like it.
Kai sings with her friends. Let's have pizza every day.
No, I didn't like it. So I tried a different trick. What I'll do sometimes is what I'm going to do here. I'll go to the end, and I really liked the end of this. A lot of times the end of a song, yeah, it's just so final. And I'll cut it off, and then I'll trim back to near where I want the end to be. And then I'll grab that end and pull it. And then I find that you can spend a lot of time trying to get it to match up perfectly, but if you kind of tuck it behind the narration, a lot of times you can get away with with it not lining up perfectly,
Kai
and
sings
no
with
one
her
will
friends.
ever be the wiser.
Let's have pizza every day.
I spent a little more time playing with it than you see there, just to get it just the way I wanted it. Cool. So that's putting in the sound effects, the ambient sound, the background music, and now I'm going to render it out, and I've sped this up so you don't have to sit through the rendering process. I'm rendering it first as a WAV file, and then you're going to see me running it through a tool called Second Opinion, and it checks all of the files to make sure they're going to pass Audible, and they passed beautifully. And then I'm going to save it as an MP3 file, and you'll see it rendering again as an MP3, and now I'm running it through ACX's Audio Lab tool. So it's just two ways of making sure that when I hand it off to the client, it's going to pass Audible's tests and meet their specs. And that's it. That's my process. Just kind of ran you through the whole thing. Thank you so much for hanging out and spending your time with me. I hope this was helpful to you. I really appreciate you listening along. And make sure you check out Flo Fennick's works. She's on Audible. She's on Amazon. Kai and Paul's Pizza is part of her series called My Brave Hearts. So take a look for that for many more really, really good Flo Fennick books. All right, here you go. Hope you like it. Kai and Paul's Pizza, written by Flo Fennick, illustrated by Titan Fahmy, narrated by Brad Grahowski. It's Tuesday morning and Kai can't wait. Pizza day at school is always great. She sits at her desk, trying her best to be patient and wait like the rest. The bell rings, and the children all sing, "Pizza! Pizza! Pizza!" Paul makes the best pizza of all. His shop is right across from the mall. Kai says with a grin, "Just walk right in, you will meet Paul. He is friendly and happy to all." Time for lunch. Away we go. Paul already knows Kai's special order, a personal pan with cheese and barbecue sauce on the side. Kai calls out for Paul as she stands at the counter, peeking over to see if her pizza is ready.
Hello. Paul is always friendly and very helpful. He asks Kai with a smile, "Would you like your iced tea?" "Yes, please." Paul hands Kai her pizza and says, "Have a great lunch. See you next week." "Thank you, Paul." Kai loves the warm, melted cheese and the tangy barbecue sauce. This vegan cheese is so gooey. I love pizza. I think I'll eat at the park today. I can eat, play, then go back to school. Kai's mom agrees. Time to burn off some energy. Kai slides down the playground slide. Whee! Laughing as she plays before heading back to school. I love cheese pizza. No meat for me. Animals are my friends. Veggies and sauce. That's how it should be. With tomatoes, peppers, and mushrooms piled up high. I'll take a big bite and reach for the sky. It's time to go back to school. Kai waves goodbye to her mom and grandmother, already thinking about next Tuesday's pizza day. We love you. See you after school. What if I had a pizza party for my birthday? Kai imagines. Could Paul make 15 pizzas? How to make pizza. Always have an adult in the kitchen with you when using an oven. Step 1. Get it ready. Roll out the dough, spread on the pizza sauce, and sprinkle the cheese. Step 2. Bake it. Ask an adult to set the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. In 10 to 15 minutes, when it's golden and bubbly, it's ready. Step 3. Enjoy it. Take it out and enjoy every bite. Hip hip hooray! Kai sings with her friends. Let's have pizza every day. This has been Kai and Paul's Pizza, written by Flo Fennick, illustrated by Titan Fahmy, narrated by Brad Gerhowski. Copyright 2025, Flo Fennick. Production copyright, Flo Fennick.